Welcome back to Miller's Construction. On this episode, I'm going to teach you how to paint your shed. We're going to do it in an efficient manner, and we're going to take all the proper steps that we need to take to make sure that it's painted efficiently, but it's also going to last a long time. So let's jump right into it. Obviously, the first steps you need to take are replacing any damaged pieces of siding or wood. This particular project, the client had pointed out some pieces of these batten strips that they wanted replaced. We took down a ledger board up here, so we had to replace these pieces. And you can see, yes, we've already caulked all of that in. We like it to look nice, tight, and clean. So we caulk everything days, sometimes a week before we paint the project if we have that luxury. Another area that we're caulking is right here above this new trim board. We want to make sure that that caulk is good and cured and sealed up before we start painting our project. Another thing that we need to make sure that we do is we need to make sure that the surface is clean and dry. This particular side of the building is the west facing side of the building, and it had gotten quite chalky and started fading. You can't just paint over that chalk and expect your new paint to adhere beautifully and perfectly. You need to pressure wash it, and I cannot stress this enough. Use a house wash before you start pressure washing it. You need to clean that chalk and that residue and any mildew off of it before you start pressure washing. By doing that, you'll ensure that your new top coat that you spent so much money on is going to adhere well. Now, for problem areas like this, where we installed this PVC starter board, we ripped off the bottom of the siding because it was rotten, and this was our solution. We just put a piece of PVC there. This building was built so low to the ground that it was a great, cheap way to dress the building back up and get rid of that problem, and PVC doesn't rot. However, it is very difficult for our top coat. You can see that's our top coat. We're using Super Paint from Sherwin-Williams, a great paint. It's going to be very difficult for that to adhere to just raw PVC though. So here's your first big tip. Use a bonding primer. This is a Valspar bonding primer. Most of the bonding primers that I've tried work really well. It's about 33 bucks a gallon, not cheap. All you have to do is take a quick little hot dog roller and a pan, go around the building, make sure that you use a bonding primer on any difficult surfaces. This is a difficult surface for any paint to adhere to. Even a bonding primer can sometimes struggle. We've got everything masked. We've got everything prepped. We're fixing to get into our spray rig. We are going to spray this building. There's a reason that I'm going to spray it. Number one, board and batten is extremely time consuming because if you're going to roll it, you still have to get these inside and outside edges of every batten, and that is extremely time consuming. You can see that we've got this masked off a little bit. We're going to be using a shield. One thing to note, the fascia is getting replaced, so we don't have to worry about spraying that at all, but we do have to spray the underside, the soffit. We've got a nice primer on all of the bare wood up here. We've got our nice bonding primer. That was yesterday that we applied all of this, so it's had a nice time to cure. We're gonna be shooting this with Super Paint. We're just gonna go one coat, and we're gonna try to match the color as close as we can. So we've taken our paint to Sherwin-Williams, the matching paint ship, and I think they've matched it pretty good, which is always helpful. And for something like this, the shed Super Paint is gonna be just fine. This is not a super high-end project, but we don't want to go cheap. I highly recommend avoiding cheap exterior paints especially. Super Paint is a really good mid-tier paint, and it's going to work well for this. I'm going to go ahead and just give that a little shake. I'm going to go ahead and crack it open, and we're going to fill up our sprayer here. Here's our sprayer, the Impact X120 from Titan, and it is just really handy for this application. The tip that I'm going to be using is also a Titan tip. This is an HEA tip. So it's high efficiency, and what happens is you can spray at a much lower PSI, which is great because this unit will only spray up to like 1600 PSI. Less overspray. So we don't want that paint wrapping around and hitting on top of the shingles. That looks terrible. Everybody's seen that. what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and dump in a good amount of the super paint. That's about right. I don't like to get up close to that prime valve. Here's our prime, where it exits. There we go. We've got paint, and just like that, we're primed up. Now what I like to do, I like to clean that tip off just a little bit because there's a little gasket, a little seat in this guard, and I like it as clean as I can get it. Stick our tip in here. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll see how we spray little projects like this. Spraying is not the correct choice all the time. Sometimes just old-fashioned rollers, brushes, that's the way to go. But for this specific project, I felt like spraying was a no-brainer. Board and batten especially, it's time-consuming, labor-intensive to spray. Cleaning up this little rig is really simple too. We got our lid. See how nice and easy this spray rig is to just carry around the job site? I'm just going to do a little test shot here before yeah, look at that. That's a pretty doggone good paint match, isn't it? All right, up we go. We are going to shoot the soffits. They're white right now. The client said they don't care if we spray them the same color as the siding. So what happens is when I'm shooting this, spray likes to wrap around and get on top of the shingles. So what we like to do is we use this paint shield. Chase is down here holding it with an extension pole. And so that's going to prevent that from wrapping around. And I'm just going to go real nice, light shots like that. No need to get crazy. You can actually see it in the sunlight, a little bit of that fogging coming in. You just want to be real careful, go real slow. Chase is going to follow me all the way down as we do this, okay? So I'm going to shut the camera off for now. We'll get some action here in a minute when he's done holding this shield. All right, we've painted this top gable right here and the soffit. So we're good to go there. Spray shield worked great like it always does. Now, I need to make sure that when I'm painting this, I'm painting these flat sections in between the battens. I also need to make sure I paint the face of the batten and each side of the batten. Things can get really, really thick really fast. So you got to move fast to do it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to avoid that bottom altogether until I'm completely done with this top. We'll hit that bottom later and we'll show you how we're going to do it. So I'm going to start in right here. Here we go. Notice how I sprayed both sides of the batten. There's one side right there, one side right there. Keep rolling. All in how you tilt your gun, folks. So if you'll notice real closely, I can see it because I'm really close up. You might even want to bring the camera a little closer. Watch the tip of my gun. Watch how I'm twisting my hand, articulating it. I got to get this left side, so here we go. Now I'm going to twist to the right. Now I'm going to go center. Now I'm going to go left. Now I'm going to go back to the right. Center. Left. See how that works? You want to get both sides of that batten. All right, I've painted this entire wall except for this bottom piece of PVC. Now PVC, as I mentioned earlier in the video, it's really hard to adhere to, but also because it's so slick, even after it's primed, it's hard for paint to, the sag resistance isn't as good, let's put it that way. So you gotta be really light, really careful, and I've already put a little bit of paint on that PVC just from overspray. So I'm just gonna lightly do this. The reason I've got the shield down here is to keep that dirt and debris from bouncing up from the pressure of the spray. So just a little bit like that goes a long ways. And then I'm gonna overlap. See that? It doesn't take much, folks. Really doesn't take much. Once again, overlap. Very good. We just keep going. There we go. Just painted this side. So this is the last area that we painted. This is the first area that we painted. And you can see it's got that nice satin sheen to it. I think the PVC trim board turned out really nice. I really hope this helps you folks. You know, if you're painting a project, maybe it's your entire house, I can't recommend enough spraying if the conditions call for it. Here's an area that a lot of people take for granted, the underside of those shingles. Now, do you see any of those shingles that have been sprayed? They're all black, right? That's because we held that shield up there. It's a terrible look if you don't protect the edge of those shingles, and alternatively, that paint can just wrap around right on top. Let's check out our spray rig. You can see our shield, how much paint, a lot of overspray on that thing. But let's check our spray rig out and see how much battery life we've got left. By the way, 1, 2, 3, and a partial 4th gallon. Let me pull this battery off real quick. All right, let's check this as the battery. It was fully charged when I put it on, and we are blinking. So you can get about 3.5 gallons, I would say, out of a 4.0 amp share Bosch battery. This thing is crazy efficient. I really like that Titan Impact X120. I need to go home and get a shower. I am absolutely worn out, but it didn't take us that long. We'd probably make it halfway right now at this point in time if we'd have been brushing and spraying, or brushing and rolling. The nice thing is, cleanup with that rig is such a breeze. Listen, if there's any questions at all that you guys have, please leave me a comment down below. Also, if you found this video helpful, hit that like button. That really helps the videos, and subscribe if you haven't already. I've got lots of videos coming out all the time, similar tutorial videos in construction remodeling. So I appreciate all of the viewers for this particular video. Once again, hope it helps somebody, and we'll see you on the next one.